Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Today, our topic is marketing calendars and the importance of that. And I don't have a banner for that, but I think we can go right into this. The importance of a marketing calendar. Richelle, I know you use this specifically in your workshops and your training and your $1 Million Equation training. So can you expand on what a marketing calendar is and how to use it?
Oh, gee, willikers. Well, random implementation gets you random money, right? So I love to be totally consistent, plan out my year way before we have to plan it out and just have it based on each month. So it is having your marketing. I think our great friend Becky calls it revenue producing tasks. Have those included inside of your marketing calendar so that now you know what you're doing every single month. Is that good for you?
That's good. That's good. Chuck, how do you use a marketing calendar? My Boston accent just came out. A marketing calendar.
Marketing.
How do you use a marketing calendar, and what tips do you have on how to create one?
Well, I think that, depending on the kind of business your client is, a retailer will be involved with looking at calendar events that may tie in, like Valentine's Day and 4th of July and all of that. The rest of us may or may not have to do that. I just want to give a resource. BrownieLocks.com has got everybody's nodding their head. They already use it. It's got a holiday is every day of the year. I mean, depending what kind of dirty old man you want to be, you can celebrate National Orgasm Day, or you can celebrate Margarita Day, or whatever you want to do. But that's actually fun to send to the list. Did you know this is National blah, blah, blah day, and tell a little story, and they can pass it on to their people. So I believe in going through the calendar and doing what you're going to do, but also have some fun with it and use some of these obscure holidays for fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I use Brownie Locks every month. I have one of my former members who passed away was a genius at using those unique holidays in his marketing. In fact, he and Richelle won the holiday marketing contest for GKIC. What year was it, Richelle?
Oh, Lord, 2007.
Yeah, it was a long time.
It was a long time ago.
But we've used Root Beer Float Day. We've used Zucchini Bread Day. I mean, just unique things. And he built his referral relationships based on that calendar, on those unique events. So, and that'll be a whole topic in itself eventually. But thanks for bringing that up. Dan, how do you use a marketing calendar, and what tips do you have for using it?
Well, for me, I like to use it to look at the year month by month and identify and attack the months that we need to attack. In my bricks and mortar business, February used to be our worst month. Okay. And so I use that calendar to look ahead, because what a lot of people do who don't have help from somebody like us is about January 20th, they'll start thinking about February. Right. Well, to get anything meaningful in place, it's kind of late. And I had a client one time in Texas, and we were working on his marketing calendar. And when we got to, I think it was July, he said, that month's pretty much a throwaway. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, the rodeo comes to town and we never do any business during the week. We might as well shut down. And I hold on. So we went and attacked that month and made that a very good month for him. In fact, one of his best. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of people just accept, well, that's a bad weather month, or that's February, there's lots of excuses. It's a short month. The weather's terrible. Everyone's getting their credit card bills. So I use a marketing calendar. One of the ways that I use it is for that, to find out where we need to go and where we need to be more aggressive and how we can really go. I don't like this up and down, and most entrepreneurs and business owners don't either. And so we use a marketing calendar to prevent that, so that we get it to look like this.
Yeah. Awesome. Mark, what's your tips on marketing calendar? And when this is being recorded in January 2024, or this episode is appearing at, when should people do a marketing calendar?
Not in December. December is terrible. You can't compete against Santa Claus. Nobody's buying anything. Nobody has any money.
It won't work.
This is a great time to start planning because you want to hit the gates running New Year's, right? So December, even if you get a jump, Thanksgiving is a great time. Personally, my view. But I love marketing calendars because they give you everything you need for the whole year. I mean, every type of industry is going to use their marketing calendar differently. In our DJ industry, for example, if our guys specialize in weddings, you've got your spring weddings, you've got February, Valentine's Day. When are people giving out engagement rings? You think through in your industry, how is your audience affected by each month of the year? And then you can start to plan promotions around it. And the beauty of that is it also plans out your newsletters, which we should all be doing. So you theme your newsletters for each particular month around the marketing calendar. And like everybody here does, you start doing promotions towards it. And like we all say, take the months that other people are saying, nah, that's not going to work. And you double down on it and you'd be amazed at the results. People always say don't compete against Santa Claus, but I've done drives that I've just blown, my numbers out of the water and surprised even myself because I just did something at a time where nobody else is. So it's actually less noise out there during those times.
Awesome. Joe, what tips do you have on setting up a marketing calendar?
Again, I think what Dan and Mark have been talking about here, it's the time of year. Even what Chuck said, using the brownie locks and so forth. I mean, sometimes I hear from people, it's the summertime. Everybody's on vacation. Nobody's going to be around. They're not going to go by. But basically, take advantage of it. Take a look at your calendar where you've got some down times. Let's reinvent right from there. And so you've got a calendar set up. You know where you're going with it. And like it was said here earlier, if you're going to go to a trade show, you don't start sending out emails Wednesday before the trade show starts on Sunday. So you've got to get things done ahead of time, and that's what that marketing calendar is good for.
That's funny you just said that. I got a text from my client, the vendor to the concrete industry, who just said, hey, it's time to start doing this for the February trade show, World of Concrete. And so that's funny you just said that. Becky, what do you have to say about marketing calendars?
Oh my God. So I've been waiting to be called on. It's my favorite topic ever. A marketing calendar. So I put together a whole course on. It is the single most important day of the year is planning your marketing calendar. And if you're not doing it, you're losing money. My marketing calendar took me to $6.5 million in under a year because we had a plan. And so to tie in with love brownie lots, you tie into weird, wacky holidays. So we were Japanese steakhouse and we had National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day. Right. And just to give you an example, and we passed out chocolate covered raisins in a Japanese steakhouse. So the whole thing is to plan and to stand out. And how are you going to do that? And how are you going to be different than any other business out there? And so there's two things, right? There's a content planner and then there's a marketing calendar. And when you tie the two together, then your business will just skyrocket because you have to know ahead of time. Our most successful promotion ever was based on a marketing calendar, but we had to prepare that in October to hand out in Thanksgiving to get people back in January and February. So if you're not planning one or if you're not using a marketing calendar, then you are missing out. I'm telling you, it is the best thing you can do for your business. And the single most profitable day is planning your marketing calendar, and everybody must do it. I'm so excited to talk about it, and I will provide a free resource for you all.
Awesome. Thank you. Ben, what's your take on marketing calendars?
First, I'm going to go download Becky's resource, and then I'll come back. So anyone who's watching or listening, I give you permission to create your own holiday for your business. It doesn't have to be on that any of the other calendars or official holidays. You can create your own. And referencing back to what we talked about in the episode about goals, when you're approaching your marketing calendar, I have clients start with what are their main, what are their main events throughout the year? Like put those rocks in your calendar, then work around those. And the third tip is one of the things that I learned in Dan Kennedy world was, yeah, you can compete with Santa Claus, but also there's a whole lot you can do with Thanksgiving, with send the Thanksgiving cards out instead of Christmas cards, because it gets in front of people before they get distracted. And when you are putting together your marketing calendar, you have a view of these things. You can see all of these things fit with your activities, with your vacations, with your different promotions throughout the year in your business. So those are my quick hitters.
Awesome. Steve, what's your take on marketing calendars?
Well, everything everyone said is great. Have a calendar, have all the things on it, whatever. But I'm going to say that in addition, make sure you're not planning it out so micromanagedly, packing it up with every day and every official week and every whatever chocolate covered something day. Leave some space in there to be flexible for opportunities to come along. So people will contact me and go, hey, I have a speaking engagement, or I have you could be a part of my book, or could you help promote my event and I'll give you a share of the revenue. And I don't want to have to say, oh no, that's National whatever Raisin Day, and I created the campaign 3 months ago, and I have every single.
Why are you picking on my raisins?
And I can't take advantage of it. So I learned that early on.
$6.5 million in 1 year. I think it works. I learned
it early on when I created a calendar, and I packed it all so much that I missed out on some opportunities. So sure, pack the calendar, but make sure you also leave some gaps so an opportunity comes. And the other thing is, do the calendar like Becky and everyone says. Do your stuff way in advance, so when somebody says I have a short-term opportunity, you don't say, oh crap, I got to get my whatever done because it's going out next week. No, I have that done, and I have the opportunity to take advantage of opportunities when they come along. I have some space and I have some time to do it.
All right, hold on one second. Hold on 1 second, and Chuck, you'll get to go and respond to that. We have to take a moment to recognize our sponsor for today's episode. We'll be right back in a second.
This episode of The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever is sponsored by Chuck Trautman, the $600 million man. If you're looking to grow your sales and, more importantly, your profits, now is the time to work with someone who has been responsible for $600 million in sales for himself and his clients. Get your free guide, Entertain Your Way to Profits, at www.chucktrautman.com. That's www.chucktrautman.com. Now, back to the show.
So, Chuck, you had a reply to Steve's comment?
Well, two things. First of all, I loved the enthusiasm that Becky showed. It made me excited about doing that. It was very cool. But what Steve said is exactly right. Like here in Arizona, we had the Diamondbacks making the World Series. Kennedy always taught us to address what's going on in the brain of the customer. Well, the World Series is on the brain of everybody. So that was something you would never put on the calendar, as horrible as they've been in the past. But you'd put it on at the last minute and do something to support that cause, because you'd be entering their mind.
The next question is what that's right, Chuck. And, the things are going to come up, and Dan had brought up a question during the planning of these episodes. What if something comes up that we want to address and tie our marketing messages into that? So that's going to be its own episode altogether. But how do you adjust your calendar as things change? What what tip, if there was one thing that you could leave people, say, this is how I do it and it works, or I recommend this, what would you say? Richelle, what would you say?
Oh gosh. And it works. That's the key. And it works, right? We never know what's going to work. Like we all say, oh yeah, it works. And then no, it works.
It's been working for you.
It is the consistency over time is what works. So let's be clear about that one. But truthfully, how I just do it is, yes, I have it all planned out. Actually, I just did it for one of my clients that is a prescription lien service for personal injury attorneys. What the hell, right? It's like, could we come up with a crazier business? But when we did his marketing calendar, we found on Brownie Locks, like National Personal Injury Attorney Day. We found Hug Your Pharmacy Day. We found all of these things that we put inside it. And then what I told him is, hey, look, right, if there is some adjustment, just make the executive decision to make the fucking adjustment, right? You are, look, I waited 14 minutes and 28 seconds before I did the F-bomb in this episode today, right? So it's just, you're the CEO. You can change it when you want to change it. And changing one thing is not going to affect your business. It's when you change and don't do anything because, you know, everybody's on vacation in July, right? It's like, well, July has so many holidays. It's Independence Day. It's so many things that you can tie together. Bastille Day, right? From Francis Day. There are so many things that you can do. That's what I do in 2 minutes or less.
Awesome. Steve, what one tip would you give people if you like, hey, if you're going to do a marketing calendar, you got to do this?
I think I just did. You're going to do a marketing calendar. Don't fill the whole darn thing up. Just like you don't fill up your whole day, you put in some breaks. Or if you work from home and you have a family or you have pets or dog, you know, you don't say, oh, wait, no, I can't do that because I have every second of my day perfectly planned out and I can't. You'll just go crazy, not to mention you'll become unproductive. So I just reiterate, leave some gaps in there for flexibility. And by the way, nature abhors a vacuum. When you leave those gaps, opportunities will come to fill them in. So when you look back, you will have had a full calendar for the whole year. But make sure you leave some flexibility in.
I just like hearing you say things over and over again, so that's why I'd asked you. But repetition is the mother of learning.
Well, and another thing is you want to leave some gaps.
Chuck, what's the one tip, or, you know, and I'm also going to add this, and I may go back to Richelle and Steve about this, but how do you use the calendar? What tool do you use? Do you use Google Calendar? Do you use a handwritten calendar? What do you use?
I would use a handwritten calendar, but I write with my left foot, so that doesn't work. So I use electronic. Nothing else to add. I think just taking the tips of the whole group is great for our audience, because there's been some great tips on here on the value of this. And I will repeat that I really echo what Steve and Becky have said. So.
Yeah. So Dan, thank you, Craig. Dan.
No, on that, Craig, I used to go to the Staples or whatever, the office supply store, get the big rollout calendar that you write on with the erasable marker. And I used to do that every year. But now when I use the Google Calendar, it's because it can automatically repeat things.
Right.
And so when I have my annual whatever, and then I put that on the calendar for next year and the next year and the next year. And if I think of something in March that I'm going to do in September, I put that right on the calendar and I can put it repeating. And so I use the online, believe it or not, I actually use tech to do the calendar now because of the automatic repeating and scheduling thing helps me.
Right. Amen to that. And it's free. So Dan, do you use any unique tool or resource to do your calendar? And do you have any remaining tips for anybody?
Well, first of all, I don't go tech. I like to have it written hard copy. It for me, my brain, it sticks better if I write it down and then I see it all the time. If I'm going online to do it, I got to pull it up. I probably look at my calendar a half a dozen times a day at least. But I wanted to tie into what Steve said a little bit. I recommend to my clients that when they're doing their marketing calendar, do it in pencil or in something that's easy to change. And so I'll give you one example why that's important. If y'all remember in 2020, in March, what happened? Okay. The whole world changed. Okay. Right. Out the window goes a whole lot of things. And probably just like a lot of you, my phone blew up. I couldn't sleep for 2 days because I was so high on adrenaline. People were calling me, hey, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do? What about this? Like we had things going out about traveling for vacation. Well, we had to scrap that. No one was traveling anywhere. Okay. And then there were some people that I said, hey, let's stick to the plan. Let's stick to the plan, keep working the plan, and we have to make some adjustments. So I agree with Steve to a point. It can't be too rigid about it. Okay. And I really encourage my folks to do it in pencil or dry erase or however you're going to do it, but keep that flexibility, and life presents you opportunities. Okay. The 2020 election created all kinds of opportunities for marketing. And so that's my take.
Every day presents us these days.
Yes, yes.
Ben, what's your what resource do you use to do your marketing calendar? My Boston accent almost came out again.
Yeah.
Calendar, and any last tips?
Yeah, I'm tool agnostic because whatever the client will do is the key. If they want to write it out in by hand or by foot or use a cool new online tool or anything like that, the key is to get those dates scheduled out. But then the more important thing, and this would be my tip, is be interesting about it, because you can pack everything in with all of the holidays, and it still has the advantage of staying in front of them, staying top of mind, but be personal about it, be interesting, and it won't matter how much you send or if you change some messaging at the last minute, but keep it interesting.
Awesome. Becky, what resource do you use to do your marketing calendar, and any last tip real quick?
Yeah, so I do it. I'm the old handwritten. I like to handwrite it. I like to be able to see everything all at one time and not have to click through online. Although some of my clients have gone to online, but I just like to see it on paper. And so I'll help you all with, you go under Brownie Lux, you pick 2. All you do is pick 2. So Steve, since you hated my national chocolate covered raisin, I'm going to use that. That was
I
a
love
day.
chocolate covered raisin.
No, you bashed the raisins. So
I love.
You may love them, but you didn't like the idea. And I'm just saying, we took National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day and we made it a huge return on investment, right? We took one day, created a whole month about it, and handed out chocolate covered raisins at a Japanese steakhouse. And because of that, I had a bounce back coupon on that, like all good marketers should, to come on back and see us again. But we did we celebrated National Nurses Week, turned that into the whole month. National Teachers Day, turned it into the whole month. We had Snow Cone Day, free snow cones. We were a Japanese steakhouse. So you have to get creative. If you can't get creative, you come and see me, because I love doing them. And you put it on your calendar, 2, not every day. Steve, to your point, you pick 2 and you celebrate them and you work on them and you promote them. And if you have a newsletter, and you should, you put them in your newsletter and you have some way to measure the return on investment, whether it's a coupon they bring back in or a code word or whatever that is.
Awesome. Mark, what resource do you use to do your marketing calendar?
Yeah, Craig, let's show them how we do it here in Worcester. Worcester.
I'm from Dorchester.
I use both online and offline. So I'll use the Google Calendar to, just like Steve uses it, so it repeats every year. But I also have a good old file cabinet with some file folders, because the tip I want to share is the magic of swipe files. Yeah. So you're always getting junk mail. Keep an eye out on what everybody else is doing and sending you throughout the month. Get your Clipper magazines. So depending on your industry, see how people are doing it. And I file things away in different file folders for each month of here's some ideas. So you can just go into the monthly calendar for ideas for what you want to do a promotion around. And related to that, the big tip is make sure you're allowing that lead time, so it's not too late. If you're home services and you're power washing and you're getting ready for spring, you can't send it out in spring. That's too late. You got to send it with some lead time. So remember your lead times there and the power of swipe files.
That's awesome. Joe, last word.
I want to add one thing to what Ben said, which I think is great, because Ben said first, be creative, be fun with it. And then he said, you have permission to create your own holiday. And so all these websites with all the different holidays are great. But, when we have our birthday, our kid's birthday, our dog's half birthday, the anniversary of when my sister met, her best friend, go ahead, celebrate them all. So if you can't think of some regular holiday, or you don't want to, or it's boring to you, make up your own, celebrate your own life. Your clients will love the fact that you're telling them personal things going on with you, and they're helping to celebrate. At all my events would happen all the time. People would come up and go like, "Oh, happy birthday to your dog." Right. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness. Like, I even know my dog's birthday, but I put that in the newsletter and everyone loves it." So
of course you know your dog's birthday. Stop that.
I do now. Whatever I said, that was his birthday.
for time's sake, we got to wrap up. Joe, last words.
Just last words here are, yes, I like what Steve's saying. Don't go too crazy. I like what Becky says, you know, 1 or 2 items. But I use a digital, to me, it's digitally setting up my calendar, but I print it out. So right now, being January, I'm looking at what do I need to do this month so I'm ready for March. And I've got things going.
Awesome. Listen, you know, to just echo that, any reason for promotion is good. So so stick with that. I use Google Calendar and I use a Franklin Planner. So you know, just use what works for you, but do it. So unfortunately, for time's sake, we're going to wrap up. I want to thank you for all being here and contributing. We dubbed this before we started a seminar in every episode. I think that's true. I've learned a lot and reinforced a lot. I want to thank you to our sponsor, and I want to thank you for watching or listening to us on the most incredible marketing show ever. New episodes are available every Thursday.
Thank you for joining us this week on the most incredible marketing show ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.